Our first speaker of the day has 8 years experience at Salesforce. He was most recently the SVP of Sales Productivity at Salesforce and has just authored a book called SalesHood. Please welcome Elay Cohen.
It's an honor to be here. Got a little bit of an echo. I love the name Sales Hacker. It's great. That was a great opening. The video is already dated because it says at the end pre-order, but I'm excited that it's a labor of love when you create when you write a book. So before I start, let me just kind of spend a couple minutes. I worked at Salesforce.com for 8 years, I'm former senior vice president of productivity, and I really got to see it all. We trained and onboarded 5,000 or 6,000 people over the last 5 or 6 years. We ran over 12 to 14 sales kickoff events, a lot of them in Vegas, a lot of them virtual. We got to see it all. And what I want to do today is share with you some of the secrets, share with you some of the things that went great, and share with you some of the lessons learned. Before I jump into this, I want to get a sense of the audience. I want to know who I'm talking to. So just a quick survey. How many of you are sales professionals? VP sales, account executive, raise your hand. Okay, awesome. That's about 3/4 of you. How many of you are marketing professionals? Fabulous. How many of you are CEOs? Great. All you CEOs should have put your hands up as well for sales professionals. So great. It's good to know. This presentation, what we're going to talk about right now, this is a great talk which is going to focus on a lot of aspects of winning sales teams. We're going to talk about culture. We're going to talk about community. We're going to talk about ongoing learning. There's going to be a little bit for everyone. If you're a priest or a rabbi or a mother goose or mother hen, depending on who you subscribe to from a personality-wise, that video is intended to really capture the essence of the life and times of the sales manager, the first-line sales manager. So let's just kind of set some context. I was asked to come talk about some of the successes we've seen over the years. So if you look at the trajectory, just kind of look at what Salesforce.com today is, a $4 billion amazing enterprise. But when we decided to really focus in on productivity and sales initiatives and really focus in on helping salespeople be more successful, we kind of created this at about the $500 million run rate. And everything I'm going to talk about today are experiences based on kind of that time frame. Now, I've had the good fortune in writing the book and working with a lot of different organizations. The talk we're going to do today is not just for large companies, it's also for startups, like many of you. So I'm hoping that you're going to walk away with some very specific tactics that you can take away with and implement right now in your businesses. So I look forward to hearing back from you. I've got some books as well. So we got 25 copies, and one of the breaks we're going to sign some copies and give them out. So again, really grateful to be here. Thankful for the Sales Hacker team for having me come share. It's the first time that we're speaking since the book has been published. The official press release comes out next week. So I'm going to walk around. Oh, I'm not going to walk around because the video camera's there. Not going to do that. As I reflected on what really made us successful at Salesforce, and what are some of the winning attributes of the best sales managers on the planet, the best sales professionals on the planet, the best sales executives on the planet. As I reflected on those experiences, I kind of concluded that there was a few attributes that everybody experienced. First, culture. There's a lot of great talks today, and I'm definitely got some previews into some of the presentations, and you're going to see this theme of sales values and sales culture emerge, because it's really important. And I'm going to tell you a story of how we were able to bring that to life. Cadence is an important word. We talk about it a lot, but this kind of rhythm of managing the business, we're going to dive into that. And there's a reason why the video's got that beat to it, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're living in a world where everything's monthly. And we got to make sure that we're hitting our targets monthly, that we're setting goals monthly. So we're going to talk about that. Ongoing learning. One of the biggest lessons that I had experienced was that we didn't just run training events. We created a culture of learning and best practice sharing on an ongoing basis. I'm going to finish up, and I'm going to talk about the first-line sales manager, the most important person, I think, that exists in the sales organization today. So let's jump in. Let's start with sales values. What you're seeing here is the success formula. Now, I'm sharing it with you for two reasons. First, I think it's a great representation of a point in time. Look at that trajectory chart of Salesforce.com, the $500 million run rate. At that point in time, we looked at ourselves and we said, okay, how are we going to scale? How are we going to drive a repeatable sales process? How are we going to drive repeatable actions? How are we going to capture how we win? How are we going to avoid losing? Those are really important questions. We talk about them, and you can build it into a sales process, and you can have all the great fields, and that's all goodness. And it's important to have because you got to manage a forecast. But there's something else you got to do. You got to tap into the culture of the organization. You got to tap into the heart and soul of the organization. And that's what sales values are. So what you're seeing here are the sales values that are, we created these 8 years ago, 9 years ago. I guess 7 years ago, sorry. We created these 7 years ago. And they're still being used today. They're still core to how that amazing company, Salesforce.com, is selling. And just take a look at them for a moment. You can see some of the words here. Seed and grow. I'm going to explain it to you. Users sell for you, compelling demos. Here's your takeaway. You can't just take the success formula here and apply it to your business. You know what it takes to win in your markets. You know who your top reps are. You know who your bottom reps are and why they're not performing as well as they should. Codify your own success formula. I've seen companies of all sizes apply this principle of sales values, sales culture. I've seen companies like NetSuite do it and have record-breaking years. I've seen startups do it with a team of one. So regardless of whether you're a team of one or a team of 1,000 or 10,000, this is an important first step in the evolution of your organization in establishing a set of values. And I'm allowed to show this. It's been approved by legal at Salesforce.com, so I'm not sharing anything that is private. Didn't want anyone to think there was any propriety there. It's also in the book. But think about this as being a mantra. When we rolled this out, we rolled it out at one of our kickoff events, and we literally think of it as a mantra that we had every single salesperson thinking and breathing. This became something that every salesperson pinned up on their walls. You didn't do a deal review or a forecast call without someone saying, well, let's talk about the success formula. Because think about them. Each one of these letters, each one of these statements means something. Show them the money. Let's just take a moment. Something that I'm seeing as a trend across a lot of organizations is the importance, from a buying process perspective, to demonstrate to customers the quantifiable ROI of your solution. How many of you will agree that showing customers ROI is important? See hands. Hands high. There we go. Everyone pretty much raised their hands and said ROI is important. Well, it was important to us too. Look at the context. It was 2005, 2006. We're starting to have competition. Oracle was coming up. Microsoft was coming around. Like, wow, we need to differentiate. We're not the only cloud player out there selling CRM. So what do? We got all the sales teams to start thinking, we need to show them the money. We need to show our customers the return on investment on every single conversation. We need to show them value at every single deal, every single transaction. And so this success formula became the foundation for everything. Training, onboarding, deal reviews, forecasting. So if there's one thing you walk away with is start thinking about what's your success formula? What are your values? Whether it's 3 V's. I was working with a company, I'm going out there next week, and they created 3 V's. Vision, velocity, and value. They're going to roll it out at their event next week, and they just applied the principle of extracting what they need to do in their go-to-market, what their salespeople need to do, what they want them to do, what actions they want to see, and they're rolling it out. So that way it's really easy for your sales teams to be able to perform the way you want them to perform. And there is some goodness here, right? Let's look at one more just because it's fun. Experience events. How many of you have been to Dreamforce? Dreamforce Sales User Conference? Well, if you're a salesperson at Salesforce.com and you're not applying these principles to your deals and you're not bringing your customers to Dreamforce or the user conferences, you're missing an opportunity. And that's how this comes to life. And so encourage you to kind of really take this away with you and start here. Everything else follows. Your sales process, your sales system, your training, your onboarding. But if you can get this right, you're off to an amazing start. The other thing that builds on the values and that builds on the culture of how to win is cadence. Cadence is all about rhythm of the business. And you can see here a sample monthly calendar. And I think that's the first message. Do your sales teams have a monthly calendar? You have a kickoff call at the beginning of every month where you're setting the goals for the month. You have a celebratory, not a happy hour, but a celebratory call at the end of the month showing who was at the top of the leaderboard. You have topics that you're covering every week that are relevant to the business. And I'll give you an example. It's the beginning of the year, it's January. A great way to think about January is this pipeline month. So you create a theme for January, you call it pipeline month, and you have a kickoff call, you set pipeline goals, and then every week you're sharing pipeline best practices at the team meetings. And you carry that through the month. And guess what? Maybe at the end of the quarter or at the end of the month, you want to focus in on some closing activities. So maybe you have a think big or a close big month. Whatever it is, you know your businesses. Hopefully what you're seeing is it's important to start up-leveling your sales programs. It's important to start thinking about culture and cadence. And here's an example. So, you have a great opportunity. It's the end of April. We're about to get into May. Ask yourselves, what do you want to accomplish in May as leaders in your organizations? What are your top sales goals? Create a theme, brand it, roll it out, and then reinforce it with conversations in one-on-ones, deal reviews, forecast calls, weekly team meetings. Really important to focus in and build the right cadence. And there's people talk about this, people say they need to do it, but the difference between the sales managers that are sitting on the beach in Hawaii year after year and the ones that dream of sitting on the beach in Hawaii, as you know, Hawaii is the metaphor for I blew out my quota, are ones that follow this kind of cadence and discipline in running their business. The idea of best practices and ongoing learning and community is so critical. I want to encourage you, there's some amazing speakers here today that have some great content that are going to share with you some amazing best practices. John Barros is going to talk about prospecting, and he's an amazing leader in the industry. And what I want to encourage you to do is, in the context of your values, in the context of your cadence, in the context of how you want to run your team meetings, how you want to run your month, think about what topics you want to cover. And get your reps to share best practices with each other. It's really critical for you to create this sense of community. Just reflecting on Salesforce, because it was such a big part of my life. 8 years, and we really got to experiment with a lot of amazing innovation and amazing programs. But one of the most important kind of lessons that we learned was that we were able to take that success formula and build a shared consciousness around the organization. No matter where you were in the world, whether you were in Tokyo, whether you were in London, whether you were in Toronto, whether you're in New York, or whether you're in San Francisco, salespeople knew how to get deals done. Salespeople knew how to engage with customers. And it's because we created this foundation and because we were also creating a dialogue. So if you don't have this idea of a community or a dialogue or regular best practice sharing happening on your weekly team meetings or happening inside of your sales organization, that's an important takeaway. So we got culture, we got cadence, we got community. I'm all about tactics. I'm all about giving you specific actionable things that I know work and that I know have worked. And the trajectory of Salesforce.com definitely demonstrates that it works. And it's worked for other companies as well. I've been working with a lot of different organizations, and there's some great stories in the book that not only talk about Salesforce, but also talk about some startups, some shops that have 1 or 2 salespeople. Because some of you are thinking right now, okay, this is great. You know what? Salesforce.com, huge company, huge budgets. How am I going to apply these principles to my business? And you can't. And that's what we're doing. We're trying to give you the knowledge and the experiences so that way you are able to bring it to life inside of your organizations and kind of reach new heights, achieve your goals, seek your goals. I'm going to spend a few minutes kind of bringing this together around a very important topic, learning. Now, here's how a lot of organizations think about sales training today. They'll fly people around to Vegas or Atlantic City. They'll pick an event. They'll spend 2 or 3 days in a workshop, and you know what happens in those events. And pretty much on the way home, salespeople are forgetting 90% of what's happened in those workshops. How many of you have been to Vegas? Everyone's been to Vegas for a sales training event. And let's just kind of keep it real. Those kind of events, those are networking events. Those kind of events, they are inspirational, motivational events, and they're events that help drive certain types of activities. But what we want to do here, and what I want to impart on you, is the idea of kind of stepping outside of that old way of thinking about sales training and thinking about a new way of doing ongoing learning, team-based. Have ongoing learning where your sales teams are coming together. Remember the cadence? Remember that monthly calendar? Remember that week 1, week 2, week 3? You're running a sales team. Most of you in the room are running a sales team. I'd start thinking about, what training am I going to do next week? When you do your kickoff call for the month, whatever your theme is, I'd start thinking about what sales training you're going to do next week and how you're going to reinforce it the week after. So, and why I bring this up, because we did this beautifully at Salesforce. You know, we built this amazing sales productivity machine, but sales training that just was amazing. We ran great events, but more importantly, we ran great ongoing learning that happened at the sales manager level inside of the weekly team meetings. It's pretty amazing, pretty magical. World-class onboarding could be, I could spend a day sitting here talking about world-class onboarding, and it's important. And happy to kind of have a conversation afterwards about it, but you know, when you hire your new reps, you got to think about, what are their firsts? What are their first time they got a pitch? What are the first time they're telling a customer story? What are the first time they're demoing? What are the first time they're going to get on a call and do a discovery? What are the first time they're going to send a customer email? Start documenting your firsts, and then start building a culture where you're helping them with their firsts. Either it's through mentoring or a buddy system, or you're having them stand and deliver a presentation to the team. Onboarding is a team sport, and I think it's important that we don't think of it as, oh, he's the new guy, or she's the new girl. You know, let's just bring this person in and make onboarding be something that is part of the team's culture. Remember, values are important, culture is important, ongoing learning is important. These are all important principles that only come to life with a very strong, disciplined, focused first-line sales manager. The most important person in the sales organization. I've actually coined it the mayors of corporations. Sales managers are where they make it. The sales managers make it happen. They're closest to pipeline, they're closest to revenue, they're closest to customers. They're the ones that really understand the strengths and weaknesses of the sales teams. Everything we talked about, culture, community, cadence, learning, it happens with the sales manager at the helm, leading it, being the true CEO, entrepreneur of their business. So I encourage each of you to really start looking at yourselves as CEOs of your business. That's how you're going to be able to make this come to life for all of you. So, getting the 2-minute kind of, we're getting down to the end of this presentation, so you know, it's been great to share with you some of our experiences. I encourage you to kind of find me over the course of the day, but here are some specific things I hope each of you walk away with. Number one, what are your sales values? What's your culture like? What do you want your culture to be like, and how are you going to codify it in a way just like we did with the success formula, and how winning sales managers today are making it happen? What's your monthly calendar going to look like for your sales team? Build one. Hey, my email is Elay, E-L-A-Y, at SalesHood.com. Reach out to me. Feel free to look over the stuff. Or you want to send me your values? Happy to take a peek. Want to send me your calendar to kind of take a glance? Happy to do that with you. Build a culture of ongoing learning. Don't just talk about it, but make it happen. And you know, I think empowering your first-line sales, empowering your first-line sales managers to be the true entrepreneurs that they need to be to grow your businesses is the right frame of mind. And hopefully is the right message each of you is walking away with. So thank you very much. Hopefully that was more than just a hack. But hopefully there's some good hacks in there for you to use. Thank you, Kirby.
Does anybody have any questions?
Ken has a question. Don't be shy, everyone. Feel free to stand up, ask a question. We'll get the mic going. So the question is, okay, that was great. Love the messages, love the stories, love the best practices. I'm putting some words in your mouth. Hopefully you don't mind. But talk to me about the platform. So we've been heads down executing on a SaaS platform. It's a SaaS platform for sales team engagement. It's the future of sales team engagement. It takes all these principles, culture, cadence, community, and empowers first-line sales managers to more effectively run their teams. And we're going to be launching it next few months. We've got about 150 sales managers actively using it right now. So we are, a few of them are in the room, and we're excited about the platform. So you can go to SalesHood.com and you can sign up for the platform, and we'll talk in SalesHood. Any other questions? Yes. Hello. What's your name?
Misha.
Misha. How are you doing? Excellent.
Good presentation.
Thank you.
Could you unpack the success formula, just like one line or one page?
Absolutely. Are we okay for time? Okay, so I'm going to back up because I think this is, the question is, can we just talk about success for another minute? Happy to do that, so let's just go into this for a second. So the success formula, think of the success formula or your own formula or your values as something that would kind of ground or be a foundation for everything you do inside of the sales teams. Let's talk about each one. Seed and grow. Seed and grow means the ability to work with a sales organization. And, excuse me, seed and grow means kind of think of the traditional SaaS way of selling, try, buy. So let's seed a solution inside of a company and then have them buy it later on. The viral distribution of your platforms and your solutions is the essence of seed and grow, and it's how Salesforce.com really grew to its height. So it's an important principle for the company. Users sell for you. You know, our friends at Influtive are here. You know, really, really important kind of reference selling. Users sell for you is a key part of Salesforce.com. Get customers to talk about their solutions. Get customers to talk about how great you are. Don't have your reps talk about it. As quickly as you can in the sales process, get customers to talk about your solution. It's a great way to sell. Compelling demos, well, personalized demos, customized demos. Show people how you use your platforms, how you use your solutions. It's a really important part. That was a big part of the sales process. Connect the dots. Well, connect the dots is about finding executives, finding connections, and never, making sure that you've got the right relationships. LinkedIn, clearly, Inside View, clearly solutions that help you connect the dots better. Experience events, all about, I talked about the Dreamforce example, but bringing your customers to your events, bringing your customers to your experiences. Sell high and through is all about making sure you're tapping into the entire decision-making process, and show them the money is all about kind of the ROI. Now, each one of these, there's a stream of sales tools, fields, sales training that emerges from this. So for example, when I'm a salesperson, and a great best practice would be show them the money when a salesperson enters in a quantifiable ROI or that they learn from a discovery. Why not push them an Excel ROI calculator? And so that's how you can start integrating your sales process with your values and bring it to life. Did that answer your question, Misha? Great. In the book, not plugging the book, but I guess I am. In the book, the first chapter is it starts with values. We go through this in detail, and I also provide examples of other organizations that have done it as well, so you can see it not just in Salesforce language, but in other languages as well. Any other questions? I guess last one before we wind down. Okay, one more, quickly.
What's the biggest difference between building this cadence culture from 500 million to 3 billion, what you're doing now with SalesHood?
So, I'll be quick. What's the difference between the cadence and culture that we created at Salesforce.com versus how we're doing it now? The primary difference is the budgets were rich, and in order to scale, in order to empower, in order to drive kind of scalable community, it needs to have a different sequence of how you do things, and I don't know if that answers your question or not, but I think the main message is these principles are amazing, and I think embracing them inside your businesses is hopefully something that each of you takes away with today. I'm happy to talk more about that. I am getting the it's time message. Again, thank you very much, everyone.